I was just gonna ask too. Did you get any? Oh, okay, you did. That's right. You did get swag. Is there anything in that?
Yeah.
Okay, I was curious. I saw your post and some people were like, "Oh, that reminds me of my retainer case or something like that." That was pretty funny. Wow, look at this pearly whites. Yeah, I have to apologize at the beginning here is for my third eye growing up the middle of my forehead. I went to bed the other night in my bedroom and I woke up in puberty apparently. Um, well, it's been a bit since we got an episode in. So glad to. We were afraid that we weren't going to be able to. That we were going to have to do one without Katie, but it didn't work out that way. So glad to have you back.
Yay! I'm glad to be back, guys. I missed you guys.
Missed you guys. Missed you too. Missed you too. I did get to see Jay for a little bit a couple weekends ago when at Horror Hound in Cincinnati. So that was nice. We got to see each other ever so briefly because we were both extremely busy with our responsibilities. That's right. That's the best word for it. Responsibilities. So that was fun. We didn't get to see Katie there, unfortunately.
No.
But it was good. It was good. Judging from what Katie's shown, we're gonna be talking about Renfield tonight. And I have been anxiously awaiting this movie since I saw the preview and heard about it. And I was really happy that we were going to be able to get together and do this episode. But before we kick it off, I thought I would add a little bit of something, maybe a little segment to the show. And if this is a one-off, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's something we can keep going on. But I was actually at the movies on Sunday. I went to see a one-shot, like advanced screening of The Covenant, the new Jake Gyllenhaal movie, the war movie. Which a very, very good film, by the way. I don't know if either of you have got it. Or Katie, is that on your list to see?
Yes, is that Guy Ritchie directed by?
Yes. Yeah. Are you gonna be seeing that next week?
I don't know next week, but I'm hopefully soon. Okay. Next week I've got Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh yeah. But anyway, very, very good movie. I was a little bit on the fence about, Jake Gyllenhaal kind of playing like a badass, super like a soldier kind of guy, but it works out okay. But the issue that I had with it wasn't with the film, it was with the experience at the theater. We ended up with our seats. We have the app, so we select our seats before we get there, everything. So we go in, and there's this elderly couple, no problems, sit next to them. And I guess this is my kind of like get off my lawn thing here. Okay, so we're sitting there and we're watching the previews, and you know what? I don't get upset. People talk during previews, whatever. I don't care. As long as it's when the movie starts, as long as you shut up, I'm okay. But this lady, she has popcorn all over the like tray. Our theater has the little trays, it goes over and she's eating her popcorn one piece at a time, which that's not the issue. But if you can't chew with your mouth closed, don't eat at the movies. Don't do it. And you know what? I have always been raised to respect my elders, and I don't like to complain about people of any age, really. I'm not a complainer in like when it comes to something like that. Especially elderly people, but I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm gonna be listening to this the entire movie. And she was just one piece at a time. And I'm like, oh my God. So finally the movie starts. So the sound gets turned up a little bit. And I think either she stopped or the sound kind of drowned it out. And I was maybe paying attention to maybe. So that didn't bother me until her husband starts to narrate the movie. And sometimes they don't realize how loud I don't know if maybe he doesn't hear as well as he used to. And he's like, oh, there's gonna be a big explosion here. And I'm like, I mean, before it happens, I mean, we're watching them, we walk up to this truck. Oh, it's gonna blow up. I'm like, really? I mean, and then, it was all through the movie. Oh, here comes an ambush. I just keep looking over, and then if it wasn't him doing that, then it was her relaying like the parts, I guess, where the dialogue was maybe a little bit lower and he didn't hear it. Oh, they said this. And I'm like, oh my God, you're not sitting on your couch at home, I'm like, come on. So, I mean, that's my get off my lawn thing. Like, listen, turn up your Whisper 2000, your parents say, I'm sure had to teach you some better manners eating. So, I mean, close your mouth and keep it closed and don't talk during the movies. That's why they put the thing up, I mean, it's as bad as being on your cell phone. That's my get off my lawn for this week, this episode.
I just call that people suck.
No pun intended to the movie that we're going to read.
Yeah, no pun intended to the movie. No.
I like what you did there. So,
but that's one of the reasons why I always sit in front is because, normally I don't have people around me for 2-3 rows. So, it's quiet as can be, but yeah, no, people suck. So.
Yeah. And, the other thing I started thinking about too afterwards was, is bad as people say that like the young Generation X or whatever, these new millennials and stuff, how self-entitled they are. And hey, you know what, they are, there's some elderly people that are just about as bad, that are just self-entitled. You think, oh, I'm 80 years old, I've been alive for 8 decades, so the road's paved for me, and I should be able to do whatever I want, say whatever I want, whether it offends somebody or not, whatever. It's just as they're just as bad sometimes.
I'll throw this in there for you because I can tell you that in the recent theater experiences, including seeing Scream, and then one more before that, having a group of kids there who are not only watching the movie on their phone while they're watching the movie on the screen, who are talking, who are recording, who are texting, who are maybe doing other things they shouldn't be doing at that age. Because I was a Boy Scout, I never did any of that in the movie theater. But to be honest with you, watching them, I've reached a point now with the get off my lawn, because it's like, it just, after a while, it just leans on you. It might not even be a good movie, but still, it's still a problem. I don't know. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I get the fact of seniors coming to see movies, but it's a little bit much when they're sitting there narrating the movie and doing the closed caption for their partner.
Yeah, I mean, it was 4 o'clock on a Sunday. I mean,
well, that explains it. It's before the bedtime. Calm down.
It was the only time for the screening on that. I mean, there was no other time to select. I mean, it was it. But honestly, usually the theater we go to, we don't have issues. There's usually the only other thing that I can think of that really I noticed during the last several movies that I saw, I kind of told you about. The second time I saw Cocaine Bear was the 2 legs, and that wasn't really bothering me. It was more, I was actually more enjoying it because I heard them laughing and having a good time. I mean, that's different than, if you're laughing at a scene, that's, I'm okay with that. But don't play spoilers and narrate the movie, and it's just, all right.
It's rude. It's not your living room.
Exactly.
You didn't pay to watch this film to have someone else narrate it for their partner. Like, this is your experience too. So it's like, I've gone up to people who have said, it's like, look, do you want to Venmo me the $15 or PayPal it, or do you have it in cash? And they're like, what? It's like, shut the hell up, or you're going to pay me the money that I paid for this movie. Do you understand me? And they're like, yeah. So, I mean, I can be tough.
Honestly, the reason I didn't say anything, I did look over a couple times, especially when the lady was chomping. I didn't say anything just because they were elderly, and I was just kind of like, I'm just gonna try and get through it and not let it ruin. But I mean, every time he would scream something out, I was just kind of like,
Well, that's why
because I was hoping his wife would see me. She was sitting next to me, and then I was hoping she would see me, and then she would be like, okay.
Oz, you gotta hire Dracula. Speaking of Renfield, you gotta hire Dracula to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Right.
You do. And like, these are the people that would be perfect snacks. I don't even know. It's like what,
Yes.
4 o'clock? So this is like the early bird special.
I
These
guess.
are the perfect right when he wakes up. It's 4 o'clock. It's like, hey, you know what? You want to see Renfield? Why don't you come
Breakfast.
with me? And bye.
Breakfast for Drac.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Now we're done complaining. So if anybody else out there, if you have any get off my lawns for this episode, post them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the page and subscribe. We love your faces. Appreciate the support for the page. And don't forget to also check out the Blonde in Front, Katie's page too. She got lots of other stuff other than horror that she checks. She goes to like every movie that comes out, literally.
Almost, yes.
So, but yeah, so check that out too. And check out, you'll see a lot of in Horror Hound magazine, JK writes a lot of junk in there.
There you go. Exactly. Yep. Junk is the perfect word for that.
I didn't mean it.
Whole lot of nothing, folks.
Thanks
thank you for reading.
Thanks for the plug, Oz. Thanks.
Look at you.
We're all charged up now for this podcast.
How clever are we?
This isn't gonna suck, everybody. That's not gonna
it's I'm just biting at the bit to be able to start this.
That's right.
All right. So Renfield. Okay. This one I did not realize until I was there that this was co-written by Robert Kirkman.
Yeah.
Yep.
That created The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of surprised that directed by Chris Mackey. Or actually, you know what? I am actually stealing Katie's thunder. This is Katie's job. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm stepping on toes.
No, you can.
But you do this so well. I now I'm all nervous and I'm not going to be able to do it. So yeah, Renfield. It does star Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult. Coincidentally, both Nicholas. But you want
Aquafina.
And the annoying Aquafina.
Aquafina, Ben Schwartz, Shara.
Ben Schwartz. Was he the son?
He was the head of the group.
Yes, he's Ted Lobo.
Okay. I thought so because I recognized him right away because he was in one of my favorite comedies called This Is Where I Leave You, where he plays the rabbi. Oh my god, it's so funny. He plays Boner because I reached out, I said, I was like, oh my god, it's Boner, and she was like, what are you talking about? Like, she connect all the, oh yes, he was in that movie. And then the actress that plays his mother,
her name is a charmer.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Good luck.
But she
Shora Agdashlu.
Yes. All right.
She was from Queen of the South.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah, she's an Oscar-nominated actress.
Yes. Very good.
For House of Sand and Fog.
Yes. So, but yeah, I recognize quite a few. Cast was great, I thought. So, do you want to kind of package it up for us here?
Sure.
Katie?
As said, directed by Chris McKay and starring Nicholas Hoult as the titular character Renfield, Nicolas Cage as Dracula, his master. It starts off as, I would say, this is supposed to be a sequel to Dracula, a direct sequel to Dracula. Mm-hmm. And in fact, there are a number of scenes that you see that I thought they did a very good superimposing of Todd Browning's original work. Like, I was actually impressed by that because, I mean, there have been other films where you can see de-aging and stuff like that. And this looks like they put a lot of time and effort to make it look like it is exactly, this was Nicolas Cage in Todd Browning's Dracula from like what, 1922, 1921. So very impressed by that. I do wish they would have had maybe an armadillo or something when they get
Yes,
to the world. Wouldn't that have been great?
that would
they
have been great.
they did do a little nods because the chief of police actually is Chief Browning. And I noticed that in the end credits. I'm like, oh, nice. It's not like shove it in your face stuff, but it's nice little nods and respect to the master of what this was. Renfield is with Dracula. It goes through the story of how they met, how he became Dracula's servant, and how after Dracula kind of made his mark and or made his bite, wink, all over Europe, they had to move to New Orleans, start anew. Dracula's a little bit drained. He needs to have this blood because that journey to the new world takes a bit of time. It's hard to do with mounds of earth and a casket that has an undying semi-god in it. So and at the same time, it's also draining for Renfield. Like, I mean, you get into this whole like narcissistic gaslighting relationship they have, which for the modern touch is very, very effective. I thought it was hilarious how they do all that and show how Dracula takes advantage of Renfield with everything he does, but Renfield finds his tribe with this group of people who have been victims or who are in love or have relationships with narcissists. They talk to each other about all that stuff, and while Renfield is there, he finds food for Dracula. Not the people who are in the group that are helping each other, but the people
Spoiler.
that oh yeah, sorry, spoiler. But the people that the reason why these people are there. And there you see one, I love the fact that they're the actress, what is her name? Sorry, Jenna Cannell, who I recognized immediately from Terrifier.
Yeah.
Love to see her in that. There was Brandon Scott Jones, who plays Mark, who's the leader of the group. He's in the new show Ghosts. He's in once you see him, you know him from something because he's been in 18 jillion things. But it's nice to see like Renfield kind of get his spine. Like, he doesn't say much. He basically listens, so he could feed the fodder and see who he can get for the guy he's working for. Lunch and dinner and breakfast. But it's nice to see him sort of like come out of his shell while he's there, and he's going to get some food. He comes upon like some criminal activities. It gets a little haywire. We meet Aquafina, who's a cop. She's fantastic. We meet Ben Schwartz, who's like the son of this giant crime family in New Orleans. That is a comic relief because for me, Ben Schwartz, and I don't even think they meant to do this, but every time he did a scene, all I could think of is I want to get you, sucker. Like
I got the same vibe.
Yeah, it's like he like, oh, what, I'm gonna do this, oh man, no, don't hurt me. And it was just hilarious. I thought the fight scenes, the choreography for the fight scene, I mean, this is crazy stuff they do. Like Nicholas Holt, all the stunt people, kudos to you. I thought the production design and the set decoration, when you finally see Nicolas Cage in New Orleans, like in the modern times, chef's kiss. I mean, there's just a smorgasbord for the eyes. And you also get this little montage of like Renfield kind of coming into his own and like, having positivity posters and like, doing like Old Navy, pastel colors and away from like the old world that he was in. And I just thought it was delightful. I think it's funny. I think it's very relevant today. I loved Nicolas Cage. I don't know how he was able to speak with the mouthpiece that he had in. I mean, obviously there had to be some dubbing or something, but I mean, he sounded amazing. Plus, you've got this freaking kick-ass soundtrack that every other song was like, hell's yeah, like I'm ready to freaking karaoke this whole thing. I thought this was a blast to see on screen. I don't think it could possibly be a sequel, but who knows? I don't want to do more spoilers because there's kind of thing at the end that I was like, okay. But yeah, I thought this was a fun time at the movies. And one thing I know some people, when some people have been comparing it like, oh, well, you know, What We Do in the Shadows is kind of like that. Yeah, but What We Do in the Shadows takes from Dracula. I mean, it's like, why are you trying to compare the two? Yes, they're both vampire films, but they're two very different things. And you know, we can all, you know, you're both pretty. You don't have to like say it's like, well, if you like this, you can't like this. It's like you can like them both, which I think everyone should, because I think honestly, I thought this was just a hell of a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but I've got some more spoilers at the end. But yeah, let me know what you guys think.
You want to go, Jay, or you want to?
No, I'll go. Sure, I'll go.
Renfield.
So let's see. Where do I start with this? I was very excited when I saw the trailer way back when. I think the trailer was really smart to take in the aspect of the meeting and his codependency on Dracula. It was really smart. It set up a wonderful trailer, one of the better trailers we've seen in quite a while with what it is. Let's go down the list here. I enjoyed the film. It may sound as I walked in like I wasn't going to. I really did. I enjoyed the film. It was funny, a lot of action. They definitely did have a message at the core of it, which I found which was nice. Maybe a little pushed a little too much towards the end, but that's okay though.
Yeah.
When it comes to it, Katie, I'm sorry to say, but can we stop shoehorning Aquafina into things? I'm done with her. Like years ago now. She goes into Shang-Chi. Oh, how is she great? This is what I don't get about her.
Maybe it's because I haven't seen her other films. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
It could be. She doesn't fit what she's in there for. She's not a love interest. So that doesn't work. She's got the Shang-Chi part 2 here. Okay. Second, why she has a good mean demeanor. She really, I mean, she just doesn't fit, guys. Fit as a cop, fit in it. If you want to get someone comedic, try someone else. You don't have to shoehorn in Aquafina into this movie. All right, you could have done much better when it came to that. Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage, I thought were fantastic, and I'm not a fan of Nicolas Cage. I haven't been a fan of Nicolas Cage in a long time, and I can understand why he hasn't been on the screen in a long time, because the last 2 films he did made no money. Don't need Nicolas Cage back in the film. Let's stick him in the art house with Mandy. Let's stick him in those weird roles where he succeeds and he's able to be over the top, because you had to be over the top to play Dracula in this. And Katie, I agree with you. I think the recreation of the 1931 Dracula was fantastic. I love how they brought that origins there, even having Renfield on the ship, staring up, all crazed. I mean, it's just, it was such a nice homage. I loved it.
Yes.
But as I went through this film, and you know, mostly what Katie said, I agree with. I mean, the fight scenes are fantastic. The effects are really cool. There are some explosions, body exploding, that are awesome. They're awesome job. But the one thing that I had a problem with in this entire film, I myself watched this, and maybe I have to watch it again. Maybe the second or third screening, which I'm not sure there's going to be a second or third screening with this film, is I felt the editing was off balance. And as I watched this, and I watched the ebbs and flows of this, especially how right in the middle of the movie, instead of making Dracula at least a little bit closer to something where he's not just over the top Nick Cage and Dracula makeup, which he really was. This was, you know how they say, oh, it's Bruce Willis being Bruce Willis? Well, this is Nick Cage being Nick Cage with Dracula fangs in. That's what this is basically through the entire movie. To have him walk into that support group halfway through and just slaughter everyone, it's such a beat that takes away from the story that's right there. You have a really empowering story. You have a funny story. You have Renfield, who's starting to make his way out. You have a separate plot with the family, that is going through that. Now we're Renfield's in the middle of this war and the killings and mistaken identity and blah 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 blah. And then you have Dracula come in and just slaughter everybody. It just doesn't work. Now, does it pay off at the end? Obviously, spoiler alert, they have Dracula's blood and they are serving it at the snack table and they're going ahead and doing all that. But it feels really unbalanced in the edit. This film, I wanted it to flow better. And when I see there's 3 editors on this film, I kind of understand why. All right. Anytime you have more than one editor, usually it's a problem, because that means they had some sort of issue, whatever it is, because obviously for a major production, this is probably a micro budget film, to be honest with you. Without looking at what it cost to make, it didn't make much. I think it was
65 million was the budget.
I was going to say somewhere around 65 million. I think it's made maybe 15 worldwide, maybe. And that's a bad sign for what it is. In fact, honestly, horror in the last month hasn't really made a whole lot of bank, which is not a good sign, which just goes to show that we're going to have to stick with the same old stuff going forward, unfortunately. But it's an unbalanced film. On the good side, you look at the casting, I agree about the score. The jokes land really, really well.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up, Kyle. One of my
Shut
favorite
the fuck
lines.
up, Kyle.
Is great. It's such a great line throughout. And anyone can pull it off. And the timing of it and the way that it's cut in is fantastic. So why I think it's an unbalanced edit, because of how many chefs are in the kitchen, it's a movie that is a fun date movie, empowering movie.
This is the kind of movie.
Yeah, this is the kind of movie. It's been a while that you can actually take a date and make this kind of a gateway movie for someone who's not really into horror. And that's what you want. Does have a little bit of too much blood and killing for it, maybe, but that's part of the charm of this film, of what Dracula is. I just think that Dracula's brutality is a little bit early in the edit, in my opinion. But overall, guys, I enjoyed it. And I get a kick. I love the way that Nicholas Hoult has really found his way into these kind of dark comedies. The Menu, Renfield, among others. He is
Warm
really
Bodies. Yeah.
Warm Bodies. Well,
Yeah.
that was I'm talking about more recent, but you're absolutely right, Katie, with Warm Bodies. He's really finding a niche where he's becoming one of those actors like Daniel Radcliffe, who's getting these really kind of offbeat roles and parts, and he's playing his character. He's playing the shit out of his character, and he is a great casting for Renfield. He is funny, he's charming. You can connect to him. It's amazing with it. So that's it. That's me in a nutshell as we talk more about it. Oh, and by the way, Katie, 3D printer for Nicolas Cage's fangs. That's why he was able to pull off a lot of the talking that he was able to do.
I mean, those fangs looked amazing. The whole thing with teeth. But again, I remember writing down, like, kudos to you guys. The fact that I can understand everything he is saying. I mean, I honestly, I get it. There's probably some ADR going on that they, get in the studio. It's like, let's do this. But I'm like, I don't think so. Like, this looks like he's actually talking to these things. I'm like,
yeah.
Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. Everybody, nicely done.
Yes. All right, Oz, my friend, it's all yours.
Well, you guys have kind of like taken the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I was kind of, really, literally going to say the same thing. As Holt was charming, likable, great cast for that role. I was going to say similar. I mean, not so much charming for Nicolas Cage, but I think he pulled this off really well. First kind of alluding to what you said, you know, it's been a while since I've seen something that Nick's done that I've been kind of excited about and that can kind of give a little bit of praise to. Well, I mean, Mandy was out there. I mean, but it was okay.
Yep.
But
Did you guys not see Pig?
I loved Pig, but Pig's not a genre film though.
That is true. It's not. But no,
Everyone thought it was going to be, but it wasn't. But it was one of my favorite movies, Katie, of that year. I loved Pig. I absolutely loved it.
Same. And I was actually mad that he wasn't. I mean, he was getting some recognition for that role, but I was like, this is one of those things when it's like, you know, oh, here's a $5 Nicolas Cage movie and all that stuff, and then it's like Pig. It's like, wait a minute, you can act. What are you doing? And yeah, but that's me. I loved Pig, but yeah, it's true. It's not a genre.
and you know, I say that although there was a film that I was a little bit interested to see. It was out, I don't know, maybe last year. I didn't get a chance to see it. It's the one where, I don't know, the story about somebody gets to be friends with Nicolas Cage and he plays himself in that movie. I didn't get to see it.
Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Was that any good? I mean, I don't know.
Yes, that was fun.
Okay.
I mean,
Because I always,
Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
because I
Exactly.
wanted to see it and I never got a chance to see it. So I'll make sure and take a screening of that. I was also very, very impressed with what you guys said about how they superimposed them into the original Dracula, made it look like they were in that film also. I think part of it was that they did a pretty decent job of making Nicolas Cage look like Bela Lugosi.
Yep.
And then, you know, they did a really good job of putting Nicholas Hoult in there as Renfield, like you guys had said. Those were kind of like, that was kind of like the candy, I mean, thrown into me. I mean, that's the kind of like thing that when I saw it, it kind of got me excited. I was like, oh man, that is so cool that, you know, they did that. The story, I thought the acting was really, you know, really good. I thought Nicholas Hoult was engaging and charming. Ben Schwartz, I mean, I love him in everything I've seen him in. He's hysterical. The one thing that I will say that I thought was really refreshing to see, and I was really happy for her, was the Caroline Williams spot that she got in there. I haven't seen her, and I'm so glad that she was able to get a spot in a big feature film like this, because she's so been pigeonholed into horror and have to do indie films and smaller roles and things like that. I was so happy to see. I saw her right away, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's Caroline Williams!" So glad to see her actually get it in, you know, a big studio film like this. So I mean, that really made me happy. But the fight scenes were great. This was like, it was like it reminded me a lot of Kill Bill because, you know, the blood and the explosions and stuff that were over the top, but they were supposed to be over the top. It was meant to be that way. It was great. I love he pulls the dude's arms off and starts, because you know you always hear I'm gonna pull your arms off and beat you to death with them, you know, stuff like that. I mean,
exactly.
It was hysterical. He starts using them like they're Eskimo sticks or something. You know, he's just beating the hell out of everybody. But I mean, yeah, I can't say enough about the choreography and the effects. I mean, it was just, I thought it was great. And you know, Aquafina, I don't know why I mean, I understand your points as far as I thought that they were building up to that she was going to be a love interest, but it just never got there.
No vibe.
Sorry, I thought she possibly could, but it's one of those things that it's like they're not trying to do we're gonna fight all this stuff, you know, now let's make out. It's like, or maybe we just try and save everyone and not make out. Who knows? I think they could go on a date later on. I think it was definitely going there. They had
people
a cute
bond when they make it through trauma together, you know. I mean,
yeah.
Why not? Look at Jay.
I need a therapy group. I have codependency for Aquafina here, please.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
I did love the fact. I did like the aspect of the, you know, the support group that Renfield's in, going to the other people that have been abused or in controlling
And-
relationships or things like that. You know, I thought that was kind of a clever spin on it, a way of how he was both getting the victims for Dracula, but also, and at the same time, also kind of gave him his, I guess, courage to get his spine and to kind of stand up and kind of try to break away from Dracula as well. So I thought that was a really, really interesting way to broach that. But
You know, at Oz, I thought the group was very divisive because you're right, and I love the way how they start off Renfield in the group at the beginning of the movie, and he's going through stuff because we all have problems, we all have different problems. Some problems are more severe, some are not. But you know, people come to these groups to find some sort of clarity, some sort of way to move forward, and maybe that's why I had such an issue with the Dracula scene, because basically Dracula comes in there and he's killing every single person who's looking for a solution. And what's the solution? They become a punchline. I mean, it's maybe a little bit of bad taste, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, maybe I'm reading a little too much into it, but I love what they did, but at the same time, it felt a little exploitive. I'm sorry. I mean, it's great to run with the joke, and there's plenty of jokes. Well, you know, even in the trailer, a lot of the humor comes out of that meeting and those people. Every time he walks in, the girl's trying to talk. You gonna fucking let me ever talk? You know, it's a great joke with it, but it's a little bit too much. I'm sorry. And it's hard when it comes to comedy and horror. I mean, you've got two great concepts here with a side character like Renfield, and you actually find a story for him, a modern day story, which is awesome. And Nicholas Hoult embodies him wonderfully, but it's just, I don't know, maybe it's a little too poor taste for me.
I can see
I can see
where
your
you're
point.
coming from, Jay. I think the reason why that happened though is because, you know, at that point in the film, Renfield had really, he'd established his own apartment. He was actually having his own identity for the first time in 100 years after being with Dracula. And it's because of this group and because of them giving him that unconditional support that, you know, he actually felt like he had friends, they knew his name and all that stuff. And of course, then what happens? Dracula comes in, and I even wrote this down within, and spoiler, we've already started that, but within 10 seconds,
Right.
Because he pushes him and you see him flying in the air.
Great effect.
Within 10 seconds, he is just completely decimated 20 people in that group. So all of that courage and that, you know, support and all of those connections he has made to like step away and actually be himself are all gone. And that was just one of those things, like when one of my favorite scenes in the film was when Dracula was in Renfield's apartment and is drinking this martini that had eyeballs in it. Where did he get the eyeballs? Who cares? I don't care.
Exactly.
But I mean, he's just so campy and so captivating. And then he pulls the whole, it's like he does gaslighting perfectly. And he also says, like, because you know, betrayed me, I'm going to just completely wipe out the human race because you did this. And this is all going to be because of you. So then the next time when you see that, that's when it happens. And it's a power play. It's a power, like any narcissist does. It's a total power play. But I get what you're saying. I mean, it's rough, but yeah, that's why I think that was the reason why it happened, and the point in the film where that needed to happen. That, you know, although Renfield feels like he has, you know, he's starting to like break away, and, you know, he's helping out Rebecca and like catching these bad guys and doing all this stuff. It's like Dracula immediately puts him in his place. It's like, you're nothing. You're always going to be nothing. And I'm the person who is in charge now. And it's because of you that everyone that you've ever cared for, your lineage, everything is going to die.
And
yeah, I think it was Dracula. That was his way of knocking him back down.
But see, here's my question
That-
though for you then. Here's my question for you. And maybe this is one of the reasons why it performed so poor. Is it, this is one of the biggest challenges for any film. If you can sit down and tell me in 10 seconds what the movie is, in a nutshell, I want to hear about it. But the problem is with this film, you can't tell what it is. Is it a horror? Is it comedy? Is it an empowering film? What is it? And I think that again is a problem with it. I'll go back to the support group in Dracula. The beginning of the film, Dracula is almost a non-factor in the Renfield story. He's kind of in the background. Then he becomes a little bit of comic relief. It reaches a point where it feels unbalanced because we're not sure what Dracula is. For him to come in the slur of the entire group really just shifts the character and shifts the film. Is it building? Is it escalating to the third act? Absolutely. But the problem with it is that it's just too unbalanced. It's trying to be too many things. It's trying to shoehorn in the comedy with Aquafina. It's trying to get that over the top appeal with Nicolas Cage. It's trying to make victims out of people who are already victims. There's a lot of problems as you think more about this film than there are things that I'm starting to enjoy with it. I hate doing this because now I'm finding things to rip it apart, and I'll go back. It's a good film. I enjoyed it. I think it's worth seeing in the theaters, especially on the big screen, on IMAX screen, because, some of the effects are really cool, but it makes me kind of wonder, this film put together, it's a really great idea and concept, but again, is it trying to do too much and shoehorn too much into an hour and 35 minutes?
Maybe, but I still think it was an enjoyable film. I mean, ultimately that's what it comes down to. You're in and out for an hour and a half, 2 hours. You want to go have you go to see this film. You're not going to expect to see Oscar worthy,
That's
performance.
true.
I mean, you're going in to see Dracula, some blood. You're expecting some, probably a little bit of comedy based off the trailer.
A lot of comedy based off the trailer.
Yeah.
And some over the top fight scenes, to kind of a little bit of sprinkle some Kill Bill in there, and there you have it.
I don't disagree with you, dude. I get it.
And those muscle cars too. I mean,
Yeah.
Mm.
A little Fast and the Furious too. Why not throw
Yeah.
shoehorn another thing in there?
hells yeah.
Yeah,
well, that'll be out in a couple of weeks.
exactly. By the way, real quick, we're talking about performances. I'm gonna step off the Renfield pulpit and just throw a quick plug out to two performances I saw recently in the theaters. Nefarious, which is Sean Patrick Flannery. It's a very limited release. He is fantastic as the killer in the movie. He's on death row. The story revolves around a serial killer who is a psychologist comes in to prove whether or not he is possessed by a demon. An interesting film, very spiritual film, but it's a horror thriller, and Sean Patrick Flannery is awesome in it. First, second thing, kudos to Russell Crowe because he made The Pope's Exorcist a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay.
Okay, don't spoil it because I still want to see it. I still want to see it. I haven't gotten to see it. But is it good?
Russell Crowe makes that film good. He does.
Okay.
So there you go. Just wanted to give two shots out because we're talking about good. We're talking about good, great performances like Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult. Those two guys deserve it because that's other horror that's out in your theaters.
That's one that's definitely on my list. I need to see the Pope's Exorcist and Evil Dead Rises. So those are ones I have to go to by myself because Janella won't go watch them with me.
Oh,
Evil Dead Rise 3 times.
I know, I saw that.
You need a support group, okay? Bruce Campbell will be your codependent counselor.
Bruce Campbell. Bleh.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, bleh.
Thank
but
you.
also-
See? Thank you, Katie.
I'm glad to hear that because he was such a
Sisu twice. So
Which one?
Sisu.
Oh, I'll see it in the week. I'll see it in the week when it comes to AMC.
Yes.
And since we're plugging other things, definitely The Covenant. Good, check it out. It was good.
Absolutely.
Really good.
Nice.
And by the way, one quick prop to not only the Pope's Exorcist, but to Renfield, really short running times.
Yeah.
40,
Yeah, hour and a half.
Hour 40.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You don't need, and okay, so here's where I get off the pulpit and I pride up these films. I'm going to tell you what, I'd rather see these two films than go see Scream if I had the choice. Because I'm going to tell you, they spoon feed you. Oz, you and I talked about this. They spoon feed you in Scream 6. You're not going in for Oscars with Renfield, and The Pope's Exorcist is certainly not an Oscar-worthy movie. You know what you're going in for. But I'm going to tell you, closer to more original concepts or fresher concepts than what Scream 6 is. I'm sorry.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm sorry. So I don't care what
do we want to give Katie, since Katie missed that episode, do we want to give her an opportunity?
By all means, go ahead, Katie.
What she thought about Scream?
So Scream 6, I don't think you can get more nostalgic than that. Like, honestly, I think they've capped out on the nostalgia factor. I mean, I did a recording for it for another show, and my guess, since Scream 6 kind of went the way of Scream 2, that for Scream 7 it's going to be, what was it? I think Scream 7 is going to be either Scream 7 or 8. Oh, Scream 7, I think, is going to be a sibling. I think, here's the thing. I think that what is it?
Spit it out.
I know I can't. I wasn't expecting this.
Brothers, sisters, cousins, former roommate.
Yes, yeah, no. It's another illegitimate child of who's the killer in Scream.
Billy.
Yes.
Billy Loomis.
I think it's going to be another illegitimate.
Let me guess. It's going to be
another illegitimate kid of Billy.
Billy or Stu had a kid. Billy and Stu had a kid. And it's going to
be maybe Billy and Stu had a kid. It's either going to be another illegitimate kid of Billy, or that would be an illegitimate kid of Stu, or it's going to be in 8. It's going to be Sam's stepdad.
Oh,
because I mean, he hasn't been in it at all. I know, but look, if you go through the thing, I think that could be, I think honestly,
can we just let it die?
Oh, it's, I mean, they already greenlit Scream 7 because Scream 6 made more than all the other ones.
110 million, I think it's close to. I just looked at the
people. If you have money to throw away like that, I will gladly take it off your hands.
Exactly. It's 107 million right now in 6 weeks.
One thing I figured out the killer very easily, I figured out who it was. I thought they definitely did foreshadowing on that very early on. That was not a big surprise to me. I thought that the practical effects are as good as the first Scream. Like, there are some scenes in there that I was like, well, hot damn, where have you guys been the past like 4 movies or so? Because this is actually pretty good. At the same time, there's also some practical effects that look like crap. Like the stuff with Samara Weaving after she gets stabbed and you see the stuff. I'm like, come on, guys, what's the budget? You can't line up the stab, come on. That's like that was just piss poor. That really was. It's nice that I'm seeing a little bit more emotion in some of the leads' faces and not just dead eyes, because that was a major problem with me in 5. And I'm also very, very happy that 5'1" people aren't 6 feet tall when they put on the ghost face mask.
Oh my God. Well, Katie, I'm going to tell you, Katie, I said this before to Oz, they missed the boat by not doing the cult of Ghostface. They should have did the cult of Ghostface storyline. Yeah. They had all of them there. They had the warehouse. You could have had Dermot Mulroney be the head of that. I mean,
And then all the
somehow.
Ghostface step forward.
Oh my God, that and Nas, yeah, you said that. All the Ghostface step forward when
That
they
would-
walk in there. It would have been insane.
Amazing.
But what do they do? Let's put him in New York City and hope that people are nostalgic for Friday the 13th.
Well, and as far as picking up who the killer was right away, you're not the only one. My 15-year-old son, who doesn't even go to movies as much, he happened to go. He knew it right away, and he mentioned it. And he was sitting right, and I said to myself, I was like, I thought the same thing, but then I thought that's too obvious. It can't be him. It's too obvious. But then it ended up, I was like, oh my God, he was right. So yeah, it was way too obvious.
Oh, and the other thing, it's when, and this is a little thing, like when they're at the police station, I'm like, where the hell is this police station in New York City? This is a police station in friggin' California. It's like, really? You couldn't have, this is so far away from downtown New York City.
Right, Katie, I said that to Oz. I said
we
looks
talked
so
about
clean.
that.
It looks so nice.
It looks nothing like New York.
City.
It looked
You've
like
not
New
been to New York ever then. You have not
Yeah.
been to New York. Oh,
I know, that's the thing. It's like, did you guys know where New York is? Like, what is with the patches of grass and the trees outside? Like this, no, that's not what this is. This is very much California. Like, did we go back to where the original Scream was? And that it's like, could you not use different sets or stuff? I mean, yeah, I thought that was kind of dumb, but I liked seeing Hayden Panettiere. I really did. I thought that was great. I like the love interest and that it wasn't too much. I really liked the costumes on the subway. There was one, I forget what it was, but I just loved it. And it's like, oh, that's amazing that you guys did that. But I'm always a sucker for that. Any TV show, movie, whenever it's Halloween, like I love it when they use a little bit of imagination and like throw in some like random costumes and like, yes, yay. I love the fact that, you know what, I said this, but after watching Yellowstone, I don't understand how the human body is supposed to recover from two people stabbing it. Yet after watching Yellowstone and binging it, you know what? Human body is an amazing thing. People get shot, people get stabbed, people get poisoned. I mean, it's
only Kevin Costner can get shot that many times.
Excuse me, John Wick. I mean, human pinball machine.
Hey,
John
he's
Wick.
got a Teflon Armani suit. Okay?
I don't care if he has a Teflon tank around him, man. The amount of time that he gets hit in John Wick 4, the amount of times he gets hit.
Oh, I know. I love
bouncing off of cars. It's like,
oh yeah,
man.
I love the John Wick movies, but everybody can shoot but him. Or I mean, everybody misses but him.
I think that ever since people found out more about Rasputin and stuff like that, that I feel like, look, if this guy can do it and he was an actual person in real life and he survived all of these attempts on him and like kept on kicking, then you know what? Let's just do that with other characters and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. The human body is an amazing thing. So whatever. I'm, glad some people lived. Sad some people died.
God bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was fun. But I mean, I definitely, like I said, they have capped out on the nostalgia factor. The fact that they, had that entire museum of stuff from everyone that they from all the different Scream movies that this person collected, which where is he working that he can make that much on a cop salary to collect all that? I mean, that stuff cannot be cheap. That's the other thing. And this is New York real estate. Like, what are you doing? Really?
It's horror banking, okay? It's horror banking.
Well,
all right. Don't you realize that to operate a camp or a medical hospital or anything, pray in their back pocket?
That's true. Well, and it's like in any horror film, it's like, oh my God, we're so poor. Yet I can afford this ginormous 3-bedroom apartment, and with all that stuff, I'm like, that place is amazing. What the hell are you complaining about?
Yeah, but you know what? If you're a cop, all you got to do is shake down a drug dealer or something. If you're a little short on cash or something
All
like
right,
that.
Cocaine Bear.
Woo!
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap things up. One thing you mentioned John Wick. I gotta say one thing about John Wick because you opened up the door. First time I've ever seen the actual Dragon's Breath shells used at a 12 gauge in a film. Amazing, because I have them in my 12 gauge at home right here. So I've never fired them, but it was cool to see how they're the ones where they were shooting them and they actually it doesn't just shoot you, it sets you on fire at the same time.
Damn.
Which DVD case is it in?
It's in the gun safe.
No, well, you have DVD cases behind you, so.
Yeah, I do.
Oh my God. I'm going to bed, folks. Good night. I won't be here all week. Forget it.
All right. Well, hey, I gotta say, I just say if you want to have a good time, good popcorn movie, don't take it too serious. Go see Renfield. It was great.
Yeah.
Amen.
I think it's worth the ticket and getting out there in the theater and having a good time.
Same.
Amen.
All right. Drop your comments below and we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. And until then, we will see you in the next one.